Hi everyone, it's Gina with Western Way of Life. I wanted to start out in this area. This is an in-ground bed that I have made over the past year with compost and the soil from the old grow bags that were out here 4 years ago actually. A lot of the nutrients are gone, so I have fertilized, and I've got great growth. I have mushrooms growing in some of the areas, and everything looks really healthy. The reason it's kind of messy and this area still has weeds in it is because I have another main garden over here, and it was just too much for me to, on my own with a full-time job and showing horses and stuff like that, to get done this year. But I will have this other garden done for next year. And actually, I'm already starting to see what I really needed to grow. I've never grown a garden before. This is my first year to grow a garden, and I'm already getting plans for next year of what I really needed to do, because I am going to start canning. In my video previous to this, I just got my canner in. I ordered a Presto canner, so that's in, and that's for another video though. So I wanted to show you how everything was growing. The squash is finally coming on. It really took a while for it to start to flower up and actually to produce fruit. And I believe it's because of the mild temperatures we've had here in southern Oklahoma. Grow zone 7B is where I'm at. This spring has actually been a normal spring, an average spring. The temperatures have been pretty mild. My basil and this jalapeno plant have really struggled here, and I don't know if it's because there's just too much compost and not enough soil. So, but they're doing okay. This is a summer zucchini here, and it finally is starting to set some fruit down in here. So that actually, there's one right there. I didn't even see it, but there's one right there. It's not too long, so it's only a few inches long. It's not ready to cut, but there is a fruit on there finally. My watermelon that you can see is growing out here, which looks great. It's getting a couple flowers going. Zinnia. I've got another jalapeno plant that is doing really well compared to that one. So in here you can see that I have that soil down in there. This is the English Gelber squash, and I have eaten several of these. I showed a video where I came out and harvested them, and what a productive plant. I've really enjoyed this. There's actually two plants here. There's one root and then the other root's right there. So really a neat squash plant, and they're actually very flavorful. Then my corn, and I didn't mark the corns down. They're all sweet corn. I've got peaches and cream, the little 4-inch corn, and super sweet, I believe, the corn. And it's really looking good. Now I will have to stake this corn. I've seen in many other videos, because I've never grown corn before either. And it's actually probably almost getting at a height where I need to go ahead and put the stakes in and be prepared for high winds and stuff like that. I'd hate to lose them now, and we do get the high winds here in southern Oklahoma. This is the round squash, the tondo, and I have come in here already and cleaned some of them out. This is just one squash plant, but I've gotten way down deep underneath here. Like yesterday, there was one way down in this hole, and it was rotted. Like this one doesn't look real good either. Oh, and it's just loose. So yeah, it wasn't even attached. So I'm trying to keep it really clean in here. Really watching the aphids and the squash bugs, trying to do my best to keep them as long as I can and get as much harvest as I can also. But I've got watermelon, I've got some sunflowers coming up, the corn, and here is where it starts my cantaloupe. I've got several different varieties of cantaloupe. So I'm anxious for those. And here's some more here growing, doing well. Another watermelon, another watermelon, and so forth, the cantaloupe and some zinnias here. I do have some more corn here, cantaloupe, and then over here in this corner, I just stuck in another watermelon plant and some zinnias. I had these extra plants, the seedlings that I grew, and so I stuck them in that compost. So we'll see how that goes. Everything looks good though. It's growing well. I'll go down the back side here, getting a lot of flowering. Some more sunflowers that I seeded. Struggling little watermelon there. I'm not sure if that's going to come around or not. But another watermelon down here, sunflowers. But anyway, that is this area of the garden. And finally the squash is coming on, so we'll see how that goes. Now we'll go on over and do a tour of the main garden. Okay, so as I'm walking over to the main garden, I just wanted to note, I threw these potatoes in early, spring in March, I believe. And I had a compost pile down here, and it was like a 2-year-old compost pile. And I thought, what the heck, I'm going to throw some potatoes in. I've never grown potatoes, and they're just growing. It's just a small little group here amongst all these other weeds out here, but this little area has compost down below it, and it's growing so well. And I also have another cantaloupe growing and a couple watermelons out there. But I'm kind of excited about that one. So we're almost over to the main garden. Peach tree is growing good. I put that in, and everything in here. So I've got some tomato plants. These are the San Marzella, and they're doing very well. I have those in pots because I had seedlings and I didn't have anywhere to put them. But I'm just going to kind of do a roundabout here. Anyone that's been following me can definitely see how much growth I've had. I've pulled some things out. I've replaced them with some carrots, and they're just coming up. So lots of little carrots in here. What I kind of figured out was I would have rather have planted more carrots because now that I harvested some, they're so good. It's like, gosh, I wish I would have planted more and I didn't know. Like this kale, I didn't need this kale. I haven't eaten it. I planted it because it's pretty. And so that was a waste. So everything is really growing well. One thing I am learning though, like I said, there is many vegetables that I did not need to grow. This is my first time growing a garden, so I made a lot of mistakes. Like the kale, I never used the kale. I grew it because it's pretty, it's cold hardy, frost hardy, so I wanted something to grow and start seeing some green. And that's just part of it. I know when you start a garden, you want to see something right then and there. So that is why I grew some of the things in here. But I didn't really use any of the kale. I've got some more tomato plants. I'll definitely do more tomato plants. Just because of those are the things that I want to can. And I think next year I will really focus on the vegetables that are canning and making meals with. So, I know it's getting to that time for preserving our food, and the food's in the grocery stores, and just so much stuff is, I won't say, but I would just rather not eat it. So, and I don't want my grandkids eating it. And it is a lot of work to prepare meals. It's a lot of work to grow a garden and then harvest the garden, clean the vegetables. It is a lot of work, but we have fallen into a convenient type of easy living life, and now we're paying for it with our health. I will admit, I feel so much better in the past couple weeks. I got on the Parasite cleanse. I've been on it diligently, and you know, I feel better. I don't know if that's what it is. I just, I'm eating healthier. I'm fasting the 18-6 every day. I do an 18-6. I've even got my granddaughter. She fasted yesterday. She did eat at noon, and then she fasted the rest of the day. But my daughter is not really into the health thing. She's learning, so I'm letting her learn from even strangers. I don't care. She doesn't seem to want to listen to me, and that's, you know, that's how it goes with your kids sometimes. But she is learning. She is listening. So I know she'll enjoy some of this food that I make, and but she needs to put her time into it also. But anyway, everything looks great. I know I've gone through this before. Like I said, again, next year I will be growing a little bit different items and trying to get a little bit more out of my garden for myself. I've got some cilantro back there that needs to be harvested. I just saw some that needs to be harvested right here before it goes to flower. So, and I don't know what to do with it. It's so funny because I'll have something ready in the garden and I'm like, okay, now what? That's kind of where I'm at. I'm trying to prepare myself. I'm having a little bit of difficulty with the tomatoes. Not that I'm ready, but I get a lot of flowers and then they just break off. And they've already set fruit once down on the lower sections, but now they seem to be struggling to set fruit again, and I'm not sure why, because I've never grown tomatoes before. So some really beautiful fruit, lots of flowers on. It's setting some fruit right there, so that's a good sign. So maybe I'm just not being patient enough, but anyway, this will be a really good lesson for me this year. I will try to harvest out as much as I can out of this garden for myself. I will be doing some succession planting. I've already been putting in a lot more carrots. I wished I would have made a better bed of carrots. I didn't know. The okra is coming up finally over here. It's really starting to look really good. They really struggled because it just wasn't hot enough. So I'm looking forward to that. Hopefully I'll get enough vegetables out of here to at least be able to can my own salsa, some cowboy candy, and put up some tomatoes. I know I will be sourcing some of my fruits and vegetables out at the farmers markets this year. I'm just not going to be, I won't be growing enough. I work a full-time job, plus do this garden, and plus we show horses. It's a lot. So what I get done this year, I will pat myself on the back and say, hey, good job. Before I go, one thing I did learn about the onions. These started to look so good and so big and beautiful. And these were the bulbs that I put in. And so I started to pull a couple of them. And I thought, man, they've got to be, they're so big. They were falling over. That's why I trimmed them like these here. I didn't know what was going on. So I went ahead and I pulled a couple. Well, the ones that I pulled, I'll show you what they look like. This is what they look like. They're basically just green onions. So, and that's what I heard will happen if you put in the bulbs. I should have put starts in. And actually over here in the crates, I did get some starts at the feed store. These here were starts, and I thought they were going to look the same also. So as I pulled them, they were onions. And I thought, well, why are these bulbing up and becoming an onion? Not very big, but a nice size. And the other ones are huge, but look like green onions. Well, it's because they're the bulbs. And I don't understand it yet. This is my first year. I'm not going to try to understand it. But I will be ready for starts next year instead of the bulbs. So live and learn, and that's okay. The tomato plants on the trellis, well, they look magnificent. I see a couple new fruits coming on, which is good. I was really worried that something was going on, but I am starting to see some fruit now. So I will definitely keep you up to date on that. My beefsteak, I did see, there's one right there, fruit. And these are the Sun Gold, or the Super Sweet 100, and there's a little bit of fruit on them. Not much, but there's, you know, it's a start. Really enjoying the garden, really enjoying it. Although it's not 100 degrees yet, it's been very mild. I'm very thankful. And the filtered shade was absolutely perfect here. And in the afternoons, when it bypasses this big leaf or this big tree limb, it becomes sunny again. So they get that afternoon, a little bit about an afternoon, couple hours worth of that afternoon sun, and then it sets behind the barn. So really good setup. She found a little spot. Did you find a spot to lay, girl? That's Reba, my dog. But everything looks good. So I'm getting ready to make some homemade pesto. And I've got my list and my recipe that I want to use. And then the next thing I will be getting ready to do is making some cowboy candy. I am going to just buy the jalapenos at the produce at one of the Mexican markets and try to get this show on the road so I'm prepared for when mine is harvested. I'm not going to have enough to make enough. So it's a cute little garden, but it's definitely not going to be enough to make and can a lot of my own food for over a year or so. So next year will be a little different, but I'm going to try to get through this first. I hope everyone has a wonderful day. The garden looks great. I'm really excited about it. And until next time, have a wonderful weekend. It's going to be beautiful here in Grow Zone 7B, South Central Oklahoma. And temperatures are going to cool down again tomorrow. And then it looks like the 10-day forecast is going to start heating up. So enjoy it while you can. Until next time, bye-bye.